team dinner hosts and yard sign coordinators Mike and Mindy Warden. Senior banquet managers Lisa Rain, Paul Tebow and Tim Rain. To Susie Doward and Tracy Loveland for creating our Varsity and JV photo collages this evening. To Greg Martin and Gavin Crawford for creating the Varsity and JV banquet videos we will hopefully see later. To the Martins for organising yet again another bottle and can drive effort this year for fundraising. To Ryan Anderson at Burger Race for leading our email fundraiser. To our junior Hornet Camp coordinator Greg Driscoll and Ashley Howes at Salinas Community Education Department. To our junior Hornet Camp volunteers Lisa Rain, Shireen Rumor, Christina Rowe and Carol Paskevitz. It was a challenge one this year, having to dodge a few storms, but we got it done and all the campers had a great time, so that's the main thing. To our banquet committee for putting on this evening's event, Jamie Cahill, Tiffany Snyder, Kristen McLaugh, Shireen Rumor, Mindy Warden, Kelly Martin, Tiffany McNaughton, Amanda Warren and Emily Sonnaday. And last but not least, to our spring break chaperones, Karen Bow, Kelly Martin and Emily Gray. Emily felt I didn't need to mention them again, seeing as I already thanked them on the conclusion of our trip. But I beg to differ. When you are staying in a house of 14 teenagers, I think they need all the applause they can get. So can you all please join me in giving all our volunteers a massive round of applause. At this time, I would like to welcome our JV coach, Ian Stearns, up to the podium.
Awfully dark up here for my old eyes. All right, well, I guess they're going to sit all the way over there. You'll be up here soon enough, so don't worry about it. I'd like to thank everybody for coming again tonight to celebrate another great year of Saline High School soccer. Before I get into talking about the JV team, again, I just want to reiterate a couple of thanks or maybe some things that didn't get thanked. First and foremost, I want to thank Coach Lee for, again, letting me be a part of this program, letting me coach the JV group here. It's extreme. I feel extremely lucky to work for someone that is not only incredibly positive, very supportive, but he also allows the other coaches the flexibility to coach their own teams the way they see fit and what their personnel dictates, and that doesn't happen. So again, I'd like to thank Coach Lee for letting me continue at the JV level here. He can't be here tonight, but I'd like to thank Jared Walls. He didn't know if he would be around that much this year, so he volunteered a couple days a week. He lives in Waterford now, so it's a little bit more of a drive, and he was only able to come on the days that he had school at EMU. The varsity squad, got nothing but the utmost respect for how you handled yourselves this season. Stuck together through ups and downs. Very tough schedule, and you always seem to have a completely united front. Very rarely have I seen the kind of resolve that you guys put forth in the playoffs, and hopefully this resolve, while it didn't work out for the seniors here, will go towards the future, and some of those unfortunate breaks will start to go our way. I know that Coach Lee thanked a number of parents for assistance, but again, I want to express my sincerest thanks to the parents that, again, here at Saline, we're allowed to focus on just what's going on in the field. We don't have to focus on all the myriad of other tasks that go on. So again, Tammy for making sure the concession stand was staffed, and Crawford's for making sure the most important part, at least to the players, the meals were there, and then we had somebody bringing it for the games. Definitely most important for them. And putting together the end of the year video as well. The loved ones, Tracy, keeping the communication flowing, especially when there's things that after I've coached here for so long, I consider to be taken for granted, and obviously somebody that hasn't needs to know those things a little bit more clearly. So again, I'd like to thank all of you. The JV parents, especially since Most of our girls don't drive, a few of them do, but we had to get completely creative, and whether it was getting us over to Ypsilanti right after school, or going all the way over to New Boston, Huron, which I don't know if I can point out that on a map even now. We could not have had the full slate of games without your support, so thank you very much. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call up the JV soccer players, and I am going to bring them up here all at once, so hold the applause until they are all up here, and then we will go through a little overview of the season. So, Mackenzie Beckington, Addie Brennan. Let's hold the applause. What? I'm being quiet. Maddie Cole. Gracie's not here. Fiona Crawford. Sam Evans. Leanne Farrell. Kate Fredericks. Molly Loveland. Kendall McNaught. Claire Myers. This is why I need an assistant coach. Courtney Peskevich. Ava Printy. Maddie Robb. Did I get that right finally? It only took a year and a half. Annika Sadek. Orla Sadek. Isabella Seidler. Kate Sanaday. And Grace Warner. Please give a round of applause to the 2020. All right, now I'm just going to give a kind of a quick overview of our spring. Sorry, you're going to stay up here. When we started the season, I was excited, knowing that a lot of things that we had to adjust on the fly with the last couple of years. You know, wearing masks, you know, things changing 1,000 times because Lax changed their schedule a bunch of times and added a bunch of games. We're not going to be there, and it looked like things were going to be pretty smooth, and then that quickly changed when we found out that we lost a third of our schedule, 6 games, due to some of our league foes not being able to field squads, and then not letting us know that until we were already 2 weeks into the season. And those were all what we call get-right games. So we had to add games, and we were able to pick up 5 of those additional games, and that playing teams like Dexter 4 times, Pioneer a 3rd time, and again, I did not know where New Boston Huron was, but I do now. We finished the year with a record of 10-5-3. We scored 36 goals while conceding 16, and we recorded 7 shutouts. The season was a bit of a roller coaster for us. We had some significant ups and downs, and the players handled these far better than I did. sure they were absolutely sick about hearing about the history of the program after a loss. Had to keep in mind that the progress these girls were making came from a group that was put together out of 3 grades that were pretty much evenly divided and had never really played together on the field together. But how they meshed together on the field and off was much better than I could have expected. They were much quicker to get out of their comfort zone than I was, and they did a far better job at that age than I ever would. We definitely had some lows. The loss to Huron was costly not just on the scoreboard, but we looked like a hospital MASH unit afterwards with multiple players with concussions, knee injuries that looked like they were going to be serious. Our water jug turned into basically the seat where the trainer for Huron went through concussion protocol with us. The other was probably the back-to-back losses to Skyline and Pioneer. Served with an extra helping of drama, both on the field and off the field, no comment. And it seemed all of a sudden like we were trending dangerously in the wrong direction. That's when these girls started showing me their resilience, which they had been showing all year, but it came to the fore starting the very next day against a tough Grand Blanc squad. This was our 4th game in 5 days. It was an incredibly hot day. We knew we were going to be down a number of players due to injuries or a couple players doing another sport. And this group showed me their resolve and grit. They stuck to a game plan that we talked about before we went out. We went up early, gave up a kind of a fluky goal late, and we could have kind of packed it up and folded up after doing that. But we galvanized and got the late winner, and it helped propel us into our last week of the season, which was our quest for double-digit wins. And we deemed those 3 wins that we had next week kind of as our playoffs as we were working towards them. We were as united as I'd seen us, and we definitely played some of our best soccer. It became very clear to me that the squad that had tied Dexter very early in the season was a quite different team from the dominant team that beat them 3-0 to close the season. This was also the day that I saw my team turn into complete fangirls for the Dexter Pep Band. Ladies, they weren't even that good. As we waited for Varsity to board the bus, which couldn't come soon enough, I witnessed what I can only describe as an out-of-control mixer. Craziness ensued over drumsticks. Pretty sure somebody scored a prom date. But it's definitely something that I will not forget. And those are the things that I will take. The wins and losses on the field, yes, probably as a coach I'll remember those more than the players will, but some of the other things that happened during the year were just as memorable to me, and as soon as I was writing this down, stuck immediately in my brain. Like watching our girls on our first road game, holding their own against a Walled Lake Northern student section that was definitely trying to troll them. And your daughters did an incredible job of staying very positive, staying cool under pressure, positive for our varsity team, except for maybe one player that will be unnamed. Possibly the one that got the prom date as well. So whether it was talking about Father Ted's album dropping or the disc track that came out because of it, a dance party during one of the several rain delays we had during the junior Hornet camp, or me being super excited and saying, man, I got a bunch of players that are here super early, and then being bummed out because I realized they were just in line at Claire's locker so that she could braid their hair. That, and apparently some of my players, they had to get to the game so quickly that there were car crashes, multiple, getting to games. So, seriously, ladies, we would have waited and held the bus. Sure. There's so many reasons that I love coaching, and this group kind of brought all those things there. I'm extremely fortunate to have been able to coach this incredible group of young ladies. One more time, a round of applause for the 2020. Now we have a couple of awards we're going to pass out. We have 5 awards to pass out. 4 of these were voted on by the players pretty much directly after the season was over. And the 5th award is an award that is given by the coach to each girls sports team, to a player that meets the criteria for what is called a Woody Merchant Award. I'll go over that a little bit more as we get to it. First award is going to be Offensive MVP. This award was definitely the closest in terms of the voting out of the 4 that were chosen by the players. The winner of this was a co-leader in goals, scored with 11. She also notched 4 assists. She also had the distinction of scoring our first goal of the season and our last goal of the season. A player that can generate tremendous power in her shot, but can also find the back of the net by redirecting crosses with precision. She also provided us with great leadership as our freshman captain. Offensive MVP goes to Ava Perdine. Please stop laughing. Stop lying. Defensive MVP is the next award. The player who earned this award was an absolute rock for us. And as a coach, there's nothing better when you kind of know that the center of your back line is something that you could almost print out on a copy for your lineup and just be ready to go with that, because it kind of sets up whatever comes in front of it. One of my favorite lines from this player was when they asked if it would be okay if they could have a little bit of a break in the second half of a game and get a sub for a few minutes. And that just showed me her determination out on the field and never wanting to take any time off. She was coming back from a horrible injury, yet she was one of our, out of our 4 regular starting backs, she was the only one that started in every single game. Very strong on the ball when needed, but also possessing the touch that can get her out of dangerous situations. Defensive MVP goes to Corliss State. All right, a couple of seasons ago, I had some midfield players that were a little bit disgruntled, saying that they didn't feel like there was really an award that they were going to be able to win because it wasn't geared towards them, since a lot of what they did doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So we created the Unsung Hero Award, which of course the first 2 times that it was handed out went to non-midfield players. That was not the case this year. This player started the season in the center of our midfield, but I'm pretty sure at some point she played every single one of the midfield positions that we had for us and excelled, whether it was in the middle or on the outside. She plays with a chip on her shoulder that allows her to play much bigger than her size would indicate. She was also one of our junior captains. Unsung hero goes to Courtney Pissy. Getting close to the end, I promise. Most improved player, this is one that, being the JV coach, I take a great deal of pride in, because this award goes right to the idea of our kind of mantra of getting a little bit better every day. It was fantastic to see this season that 3/4 of the players on the roster received at least 1 vote in this category, and there were many, many players that had multiple votes. This season's winner came in and immediately asked to do something which she didn't really like, which is play goal. She did so knowing that she was helping the team, and that's kind of what she did all year long. Through the course of the season, she proved to be very versatile on the outside, and I felt comfortable sliding her into an offensive or defensive position when needed. Her touch, her tackling, and speed all progressed throughout the season, and I can promise you going forward that I will not ask you to play goalie again. Most improved player goes to Isabella. Our final award is what they call the Woody Merchant Award. I'm going to read the criteria because I never get it completely right. But the criteria for this award are sportsmanship, perseverance, cooperation, acceptance of criticism, and concern for others. And basically this is given to each of the girls' sports teams here. It was put forth by this gentleman, or I believe it was a gentleman, a long time ago before I was even coaching, which that's a long time. This year I immediately had an idea of who deserved this award, and when I consulted Jared, my assistant, it was confirmed. This player could have slid into almost every single one of the awards that have been given out before, and it's because she's willing to work in all facets of the game. She is a great player with both feet, was a huge part of our center midfield. A player that isn't extremely loud vocally, but when she does speak up, it's usually something important. She comes to practice every single day, puts the work in to get better, and there is very little in the way of messing around, and she'll let you know it. She's always ready to go, willing to help out when needed. The Woody Merchant Award goes to Fiona Crawford. So with this award, I'll be turning the program over to if the JV captains have anything that you want to say. The mic is going to be yours, as long as you don't curse. Say whatever you'd like. And if not, then I will pass it on to Coach Lee for the presentation of the Varsity Award. Going once. Going twice. All right. Well, you're usually the one that talks the most. Oh, are we going to watch the video now for the JV team?
I have some more thank yous, just to touch base quickly. My first thank you is to Ian, and well done again to the JV team. Ian always does a fantastic job with that group. Everything he does for this program, and continues to do for the program, we are extremely lucky to have Ian. He's an incredible person who has been around Saline soccer for a very, very long time. I've said it once and I'll say it again, a program like ours does not exist unless you have people who are as passionate about Saline soccer as Ian. The way he prepares players to get to the varsity level is outstanding. He truly is invaluable to all our players in our program. He's someone all our players can lean on, talk to, and get advice from, and we're extremely lucky to have someone as dedicated as he is to have him as our JV coach. Thank you, Ian, for continuing to do a wonderful job for all of our players. Can we go around and talk to the second thank you I have is to Austin Valentine, who's disappeared. Here he is. Here he is. Oh, to Austin Valentine. Austin works with all the goalkeepers in our program. Extremely passionate about goalkeeping, has a tremendous ability to base his keeper sessions around what the team is focusing on in practice, all the while challenging and improving individuals technically. So tremendous growth in all our goalkeepers throughout the season, and I know they're in great hands moving forward. So thank you, Austin. I also want to thank Connor Williams, who's up here with me, for assisting me with varsity girls this season. Coach Connor is the current freshman boys coach and has been a wonderful acquisition to the girls program this year. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable about the game, and continuously looks to push players and make them better every day. It's been extremely valuable to me to have another coach who I can constantly lean on and who has been through the same experiences that all of our players have been through, and is always open for an honest conversation with players about everything. So, thank you, Connor. Just to echo what Ian also said, I also want to thank Coach Jared for assisting Ian with the JV team when he could. As Ian has already said, Jared moved out to Waterford, and he comes back into town a couple of days a week. And whenever he does, he makes sure that he comes and helps out the JV team and continues to watch our game afterwards. So, as always, thank you, Jared, for what you do for the program, even though he's not here. So we can give a little round of applause for Jared. It's always appreciated. I also want to thank our athletic trainers, Jackie, Mickey, Alison, Sophia, and Noah, who are always doing everything they can to keep our athletes as healthy as possible throughout the season. They had quite a bit on their hands this year, especially with 2 players from our team that needed to get continuously scraped before every single practice and game. I also want to thank Joe Welton for all the weight training sessions that he did and conducted during the winter to prepare our athletes for this season. He made the sessions challenging but fun and attacked every lift with energy and enthusiasm, which energized our girls into wanting to work a little bit harder. It turns out he did such a good job that I received a text from him this morning saying that 2 players from our program, who I won't name, were at the school this morning for 6 a.m. open workout, which is always a nice message to receive during the summertime that people are already preparing for the next year. I would also like to thank our #1 fan, our bus driver, Mr. Jim. Yeah. Love Mr. Jim. Love Mr. Jim. He has to endure a lot on those bus rides. I don't envy him in the slightest. However, offer him a plate of food every trip and he's good as gold. My last thank you, and I can't say thank you enough, is to Emily, who continues to, who's pretty much sorted out everything for me in terms of the program and making sure that all the communication is on point and everything in terms of staff appreciation night and all those other events that need to get put into place are organised well in advance of the season. So a massive round of applause and thank you to Emily. So now on to the varsity team. I'll talk a little bit about the season and then move on and speak a little about each individual player and have them come and stand up here, and then we'll do individual awards and team awards after. So I find it extremely difficult to put into words how much I've truly loved coaching these girls this season. They're an extremely hard-working, dedicated and fun-loving bunch of young ladies who truly make it a joy coming into work every day and coaching them. It's strange, as a player, I would always struggle to sleep the day before a game because I was so excited to play. Now as a coach, I still get that same excitement, but now it's more on the day of the game. I love driving into Saline on game day at roughly 4:15 p.m, listening to a little bit of Calvin Harris, after picking up 2 packets of M&Ms and getting ready to watch both our JV and varsity teams represent our community. I cannot thank you all enough for all the hard work and effort and dedication that you've put in throughout this whole season, as well as all of the laughs we've had along the way. Although the actual playing season always seems to fly by so quickly, our season and team bonding really starts way before a ball is even kicked at our first winter conditioning practice straight after Thanksgiving. I know, being a former player, how much pre-season can grind on you. It's not the most enjoyable thing to do. It's a lot of running, lifting, and pushing yourself up, pushing yourself to go a little bit more than you think you can actually do. However, it's a really effective way to set a good team culture, get to know each other a little bit, and build camaraderie within the program long before teams are selected in March. I have to give a special shout out to our seniors who ran the majority of the sessions on the track this year. They truly led by example as to what was expected in terms of effort and application, and were constantly supporting everyone who was present on any given day. As soon as tryouts are concluded, we are right in the thick of the season. This year we introduced the varsity spring break training trip to Florida. I won't lie, I was a little hesitant about running the trip back, mainly because I've not been to the area or been any part of the previous trips. And we would be having a team full of teenagers staying in the house together, which not necessarily, too keen on. But I am so glad we did it. The trip was fantastic. The girls got to keep ticking over and continue to get in touch on the ball and really bond as a team. It can be quite the challenge forming a new team each year with players from all different grades, who all have different personalities. It was a great chance for players and coaches to get to know each other, and even for players that I've known for a long time. For example, I've coached Priya, probably the first time I coached Priya was since she was 8. We haven't really conversed much, more of me telling her where to go when she was younger, and still the same way now. I had the opportunity, I don't know if you'd call it an opportunity, but on one of the given days, the girls had, in no certain terms, told me they were not running back from the training field, and we needed to give them a lift back. So I gave, I think it was Cruzy, Priya, Nora, a ride back in my car, and it was Sienna, and Sienna was the other one. It wasn't that far, it was probably like a mile, right, from the field to the... They know exactly how far it is because they have to run it every day. But I think I heard Priya say more words in that 2-minute car journey that I had, knowing her probably since the last 8 years. And from then on, that whole weekend, she was the loudest person in the room the whole time. So that's the sort of stuff, you know, when you organise those trips, that it's just, you get to know these girls a little bit more away from the, even the ones that you think you know, away from the field. Yet again, our seniors did a wonderful job of organising a schedule of things to do, whether that was games on the beach, downtime, going for ice cream, or wandering around Alvin's Island, which apparently is all the rage. I have no idea what it was, but it's pretty much just a store full of clothes, but they loved it. My particular favourite team bonding activity was the cake baking and the decorating. I mean, we've got a pretty competitive group of girls on the field. You want to see them compete? Have them split into groups, bake cakes and decorate for a competition. Connor and I, to be honest with you, we have a tough job in terms of selecting teams and picking teams for for Varsity and JV. I don't think I've ever been as nervous as to pick a winner from this cake baking. It was an hour. It was the actual decorating. I want to set the scene for you. It was in a big house. We had probably 5-6 different groups all around the house, and it was just banter flying back and forth the whole time about how terrible somebody's cake was, how somebody was stealing somebody's idea. It was just constant, and then we got put in the situation where we had to pick the winner. We did, but it was tough, and I'm still not 100% that some people have forgiven us for the decisions that we made. Hey, what can you do? On to the actual season. We finished the regular season with a record of 9, 6 and 3, scoring 63 goals and conceding 15. I felt personally this year was the most competitive the SEC Red has been since I've been the varsity coach. If you look at the results in the league across the board, every team lost multiple games, which has not always been the case in our division. Sometimes there's 2 teams that run away with it, and if you drop even just one game, that can be the end of you. I still look at our record now and can't help but feel a little bit frustrated, as I'm sure the ladies in front of me are. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I feel at least 3 of those losses, based on the way we played in the game and the chances that we created, could have been wins, or at the very least ties. The Grand Blanc and Dexter games aside, Dexter, we don't talk about that game. The girls know I'm pretty critical of our performances. There isn't, other than those 2, there isn't another game this season that I don't feel we could have won had we been a little bit more consistent and taken the chances that we created. But maybe I'm being biased. Nonetheless, your record is what your record is. Now, we went into the postseason full of confidence, knowing that we had played well against all of our opponents in at least one of our conference games. And if we put in a good performance, we had a good chance to beat anybody. After a convincing win at home against Bedford, we were served up with a tasty semi-final clash with the SEC Red champions Skyline. After 100 grueling minutes on a hot day and on playing on long grass, we lost out on penalties. Penalties are a cruel way to lose a game, especially in the postseason. It's a great way to win, but it's a horrible, horrible way to lose. Despite that loss, I could not have been any prouder of every single player that day. We showed a tremendous amount of fight, grit, determination and heart, which is what the Saline Girls Soccer program was built on. As coaches of this program, all we ask is that you give your best every game and that you compete until the final whistle. It fills me with immense pride knowing that if our season was going to end, it was going to end with us playing that way. Thank you all again for all your hard work and effort you put in every time you wore the Hornet jersey representing Salines soccer this season. So we're going to move on to individual players. So the way it's going to work slightly different is I'm going to get everybody up here by grade and just say a couple of words about each individual player. Sienna, yeah, you are going to be up here by yourself, just to let you know. So first person up is the only freshman on our team, and that is Sienna Snyder. Okay. It was clear to see after day one of tryouts that Sienna was going to have some sort of role to play on the varsity team. An extremely effective soccer player, very easy on the eye in terms of controlling the ball and on the dribble, can beat players, can twist and turn, has a really, really good first touch, has an eye for a pass, either whether that's combining with teammates or looking to play through. I actually thought she started the season a little timid, which is kind of understandable, being the only freshman on the team. But as the season grew, her performances just got better and better. Primarily, Sienna is usually a centre midfielder, but she played multiple positions for us. Sometimes she played out wide as a wing back, sometimes she played as a 10, as an 8, and sometimes she even had a run up front. In her debut season on varsity, she contributed 3 goals and 5 assists this season. And I think everybody in this room can agree that we are very excited to have Sienna be a part of our program for the next 3 years. Good job. Sophmores, up you come. That's fine, you're done. Yeah, 3 and 3, there you go, that's better than perfect. Okay, first sophomore up is Audrey Driscoll. Audrey mainly played as an outside centre-back this season due to us playing 3-5-2. For any of you who watch soccer a lot, 3-5-2 is not an easy formation to play. Not a lot of teams play it at the high school level or at the club level. Basically, when you play 3-5-2, you're asking a lot from your 3 defenders, particularly the ones out wide. Particularly when you play it all season and your opponents know how you're going to play. Our outside centre-backs often get left on an island and having to defend 1v1 pretty much the whole game. Audrey is an ultra-competitive and an extremely reliable 1v1 defender. If the 2 players who played on the outside weren't, we wouldn't be able to play in that formation. Has got a little bit better at recognising that you are not going to win every single ball. She did mistime the odd tackle. I think she led the team in yellow cards, but that's what's going to happen when you're going to make that many tackles. All right. Like I said, a fierce defender, as Audrey is. She's also very, very good technically. Looks to like to try and play out the back. Looks to get forward at every opportunity, which I think she could have done a little bit more this season. But I think, seeing as we were playing with her 3, she was a little bit hesitant. A player that brings her best 100% of the time, whether it's in practice or in games. And we're very excited to see Audrey kick on heading into her junior year. So round of applause for Audrey. Next player is Ellie Warden. Again, another player who coached when she was just getting into travel soccer at under 8. I always played Ellie as a more defensive player, as a centre-back or as a holding midfielder. Ian last year decided to play as a striker, and she scored 17 goals and she was the leading scorer. So, goes to show what I know, Ian, doesn't it? But Ellie offers something extremely different to the rest of our attacking players. She's not necessarily somebody that likes to run in behind. She's more of a player that likes to drop into the space in between the midfielders and the strikers, pick up the ball and link play, which is something that she got better and better and better at as the season went on, and got much better at it when we started to recognise that is what she likes to have, and that's the way that we have to support her. By the end of the season, Ellie had scored 6 goals and had 8 assists, which for her debut season on varsity is not bad at all. And as competitive as I know she is, I think she would agree she could have scored a couple more, but that's okay. It's something to obviously work on and continue to be a little more clinical as we enter her junior season. So Ellie Warden, fantastic debut year on varsity. Nora Dawid. Nora came into the season injured, had a little bit of a problem with her back, which even if you're an outfield player, or especially a goalkeeper, that can be a little bit of an issue. But she was always positive. We knew what Nora could do. She did jump in goal, correct me if I'm wrong, for a game during your JV season last year. Yeah, and we saw, even in that game, I think it was away at Grand Blanc, what she could do. And she certainly didn't disappoint when she was ready to come back in. Has extremely safe hands when the ball gets played into her and it hits her gloves. A lot of the time it just sticks exactly where it is. Really good distribution with her feet. And working with Coach Austin, I can only see her improve more as the years go on. So for as debut seasons go, a really good one, Nora, and we're looking forward to having you for the next couple of years and seeing what you can do on varsity. So Nora Dawid. Next up is Priya Samaru. Priya is a very exciting player. As I said, what are you laughing at? Like I said, we played 3-5-2. Priya's main position is a winger, as an outside. And in a 3-5-2, you don't really play with those players. So Priya had to adapt a little bit with her style of play and what we were looking for in those moments. She tended to play a little bit, in towards the middle of the field, wide, which required her to pass the ball probably a little bit more quicker than she was used to. So after a couple of the first games in the season, when she started to get a little bit more comfortable for the level and the speed of play, she started to find her rhythm and get a little bit higher up the field and do what she likes to do, which is get at players, take them on, get crosses in the box, and get shots on goal. Without the ball, she is an extremely, what I call, ratty player. Despite her size, she is extremely feisty and has no hesitation about flying into challenges. And often going into challenges and coming out of the ball with players that are twice her size and her weight. So an outstanding season from Priya. She contributed with 1 goal and 1 assist, and I know going into her junior year that she's only going to build on that. So congratulations on your first year. Next up is Cruzy, Ashley Cruz. Well, you look so miserable, Cruzy. What's the matter with you? Ashley was one of those players who had to go in and see Mickey every day to get her calves scraped to make sure that she was good to go every practice and every game. To Cruzy's credit, she's an absolute warrior. In practice, in games, gives 100%. There are a couple of games that stand out in my mind. The away game at Ward Lake Northern, where I asked her to play as the 6, which is a holding midfielder, which she hadn't done in how long? In quite a while? Ever. There you go. But straight away didn't faze her. Got on with the job. Did exactly what we asked for her, which is battle, win headers, win challenges, win balls, and then distribute the ball. The other game that stands out to me, it was our home game against Pioneer, which the result didn't go our way, but if there was any person who did deserve to be on the losing side that day, that was Ashley Cruz. She was outstanding, winning headers, winning tackles, and really just driving us forward, and it was just unfortunate we couldn't get the equaliser. Cruzy contributed to the team 5 goals and 5 assists this year, and I know, again, moving forward into her junior year, that she'll look to build on that. So, congratulations, Cruzy, on your first year at Varsity. Last but not least for the sophomores is Riley Abluff. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Abluff. Thanks for correcting me now the season is over. Riley is an extremely hard worker. Mainly played for us out wide on the right-hand side. I think she's equally capable as playing as an out-and-out right back or a right winger. Looks to get forward at every opportunity, which is exactly what I was asking for from my right wing backs, as well as contributing going backwards as well. Riley was rewarded by scoring 2 goals for continuously getting up and down that line and getting crosses in the box and finding herself in positions to get shots off. Always asking questions in practice, always wants to work hard and wants to improve, and if she keeps on that vein of form going into her club season in the fall and in the winter, and then coming back and working on the things that I feel can take her game to the next level, I know that she's going to feature a lot more for Varsity next year. So, big round of applause for all of our sophomores. Go. Okay, first up for our juniors is Ali Friedheim. Ali came into the spring season mostly playing as a left winger for her club, but again, in the formation that we play, we don't really play with wingers. So Ali had to adapt her game a little bit. To start off with, she started to play as a left wing back, and I think we can both agree or both feel that her skill set didn't necessarily suit that left wing back role. For me, Ali's breakout game was our home game against Dexter, when Peyton went down with an injury, and Ali stepped in at left side centre back and left back in those games, and completely excelled. She was winning headers, winning tackles, was calm on the ball, her positioning was really, really good, and can attack the ball really well in the air, which she demonstrated after scoring a thumping header against Bedford. Ali had another monster game in our semi-final against Ann Arbor Skyline. Even though, despite not feeling particularly well, both of our left side centre backs were not feeling great that game, Audrey and Ali. But again, it just goes to show how much determination these ladies have. And even when not feeling well, both of them were comfortable to play at least 5 minutes here or there and switch out to grind it out for the team. Again, I know Ali has expressed that she's looking to play at left back or left side centre back for her club team. And I'm looking forward for her to continue to progress and then attack her senior season and get a lot more minutes on the field. So, Ali Friedheim. Next up is Zoe Rumor. By the time trials had rolled around this year, Zoe wasn't far off from recovering from a torn ACL she suffered last season. The objective for me for Zoe for this season was clear. Just get back to playing soccer and regain that confidence in me. That's really what I really cared about. However, Zoe is a competitive kid, and I know that conversation we had at the start of the season went out the window as soon as the first game came around, because she was itching to contribute as much as possible. A very talented two-footed player who is comfortable on the ball and loves to get shots off from distance, which she demonstrated in our home game against Bedford by scoring an absolute thumper outside the box. Do you like that? Zoe scored 2 goals for Varsity this season, and I'm confident after a full year of getting back to fitness and playing club regularly, she'll be ready to hit the ground running her senior year. Congratulations, Zoe. Chloe Craft. Chloe. I was debating which way I was going to go with this, because last year I had a little slide dig at Chloe, which was a joke, that she was always pushing it a little, she was always bang on time for the bus. And I think her dad, Clint, had maybe had a little word in her ear after that and said, you better get to every single practice early. And guess what happened? She's the first one at practice and the first one at games, pretty much every single time. So I thought, maybe I might say something a little bit that isn't quite correct, and maybe if we can change something, but I won't. Chloe is a fantastic kid with an infectious personality and a great teammate to be around the dressing room. Chloe started every game for us this season at right side centre back, and occasionally moved across to centre back if we reverted to a back 4, contributing 1 goal this season. Hey, but it was a good penalty though. Like our counterpart on the other side, a real monster of a defender, an outstanding 1v1 defender, which is vital given the formation. As reliable as they come, Very good at reading the game and intercepting passes, and barely ever gets dribbled past. Understood her position really, really well and was always looking to cover her centre-backs when the ball was on the other side. Very capable of getting forward from that right centre-back spot and putting in dangerous crosses. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Chloe continues to develop, and I know she's going to have an absolute monster season her senior year. Congratulations, Chloe, on that. Peyton Maloney. Peyton had a really good start to her junior year, mainly playing as an outside centre-back. To be honest, at the start of the year, I wasn't expecting to play there. But after we put her in there for one of our games and seeing how well she played and didn't force passes forwards and could read the game really well and turn out of pressure and recycle the ball, it seemed like a perfect spot for her. We then lost Lara to a couple of games through illness, and pretty much Peyton stepped in there and played the whole time. A really good technical player with an eye for a pass and reads the game so well. We were all devastated when we received the news that the pain in her leg that forced her off against Dexter was actually a fracture. But that goes to show you what kind of a competitor Peyton is that she tried to continue playing and training after that Dexter game because she thought it would just go away. But hopefully, Peyton, you're fully recovered, and we're all looking forward to seeing you build on what was a fantastic start of the year and continue leading the team into your senior season. Congratulations, Peyton and friends. Carson Caldwell. Carson is an extremely technical player, usually plays at the base of our centre of midfield. Really good on the ball, can receive passes with both feet, looks to pass with both feet, has a great range of passing. Coach Connor and I pretty much say our team go as Carson goes, which means when she is really, really up for it and is really prepared to do the dirty side of the game in the centre of midfield, it elevates our team. And she started to use her body a lot more and stick her head where she probably doesn't want to when balls are around her shoulders, and win a few more balls to then allow us to start attacks. Carson contributed 2 goals and 5 assists this season. I mean, those 2 goals are well overdue, aren't they? I mean, last year we could have had a couple. So it was good to see Carson get on there and finish a couple of those. Really excited that she's continuing playing club soccer this fall. I was a little bit nervous when she said, along with a couple of others, had said they weren't going to be playing. But I'm really happy that she's going to continue playing, because again, big things are expected from the players on my right to continue this train going and win that SEC and win that district title. So congratulations, Carson, on a fantastic. Last but not least is Kaylee Cahill. What a character. What a character. I said it last year and I'll say it again. Kaylee is just a joy to watch on the field. Very similar to Carson in terms of our team goes as Kaylee goes. If she, and 9 times out of 10, she is extremely up for winning that battle in the centre of the park for us. I say all the time, you can play any formation, any style of play you want. If you're not prepared to win the battle in the middle of the field and do all the dirty work, then it's going to be a long day. And Kaylee certainly does that. She's a tough tackling, no-nonsense central midfielder. She really is the engine of the team. Competes so hard every game, and you definitely notice when she's not there battling away. I think of, again, some of the games that we played, particularly Skyline at home, Pioneer at home, and even the semi-final against Skyline when she played all 100 minutes in the centre of midfield. It's one thing to play 100 minutes on a hot day as a defender, it's another thing to play 100 minutes in the centre of the park when you're running up and down and competing in a game like that. An outstanding season, and really looking forward to seeing what you can do your senior year. Kaylee Cahill. Okay, first up is Reese Carr. Have I pronounced that correctly? Good. Okay. The improvement Reese has made as a goalkeeper in such a short space of time is fantastic. Considering Reese never really played soccer until her junior year, it's remarkable to think that she played in such an important position in our team early on. Reese is an outstanding teammate who has a brilliant outlook on life. She is always positive, always cheering on her teammates, and works her butt off in practice. When Nora came back from her injury and was given her chance to step in and start, Reese was nothing but supportive and continued to push Nora to be the best that she could be. Reese, I can't thank you enough for giving soccer a try. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you be a part of this varsity team for the last 2 years. I can tell you now, if Reese had scored that chance on senior night, for that game to be over, our bench may have tipped over. We were all willing her so hard to go and score that goal, but it just evaded her. Congratulations, Reese, on a great season, and the best of luck at Michigan State University. Lara Koch. Lara is one of our senior captains on the team and really took her game to another level from her junior year to her senior year. A player who I feel sets the standard on how you should carry yourself and what you need to do to be ready for a varsity soccer season. After the last year's seniors graduated and Emma unfortunately tore her ACL, we had a real lack of central defenders within the squad. Lara was the obvious choice to step in and play in the centre of our 3 defenders this season. An extremely reliable, smart player who I could play anywhere on the field and know she'll do a great job. Lara is very technical, confident with both feet, has an excellent first touch, and is outstanding at reading the ball and covering her as outside centre-backs when the ball gets played over their head. Honestly, at times I think Lara forgot she was playing as the last defender with some of the touches she was taking back there and taking players strikers on as the last defender. A player our programme would greatly miss. Congratulations, Lara, on a great career at Saline, and good luck at Michigan this fall. Jessie Rain. Gumpy Rain. Let me get my composure. Alright. Jessie is a senior captain and is such a valuable member of our team who brings the group together. She is a fantastic teammate, very coachable and very positive. Hardworking and is constantly asking questions in practice how she can improve her game. Jessie came into her senior season absolutely flying at winter conditioning. Jessie was pretty much at every lift, every run, and gave maximum effort every single time. Jessie primarily played as a left wing back this year, which is not an easy position to play. There is a lot more emphasis on staying connected with your back 3 when you're defending, and going forward, you need to get up the field as quickly as possible when every opportunity arises to create that width up high. Like Ashley, Jessie suffered a lot with her calf tightness. Probably something to do with running up and down the field all the time. But to be fair to Jessie, same with Cruzy, was in that training room every time because she didn't want to miss a minute. Had we played a formation that allowed Jessie to play a little higher, I believe Jessie would have added to her 3 goals, which she scored this year. However, it certainly didn't affect her assists. Jessie had 7 assists on the year, which I believe was 3rd in the team overall. Congratulations, Jessie, on a great career at Saline, and best of luck at Michigan State University. Emma Bowen. As I just mentioned, Emma got some really tough news before the season even started that she had torn her ACL, which meant she was going to miss her senior season. In typical Emma fashion, she took the positives from the bad news and set out to be the best team manager that she could be. Emma was present at pretty much every game and the majority of our practices, only missing when she had family commitments, and took it amongst herself, and even took it amongst herself to warm up Reese and Nora on game days. An extremely intelligent, hard-working defender who is really aggressive in 1v1 situations, wins a ton of balls in the air and on the ground and rarely gets beaten. In possession, she is hesitant to launch the ball forward, but instead opts to look for a pass into midfield or break lines into our forwards. A player who I know would have made a huge contribution to the team this year. Congratulations on a fantastic career, Emma. The best of luck at Michigan. Emily Hornberger. Emily is another one of our senior captains on the team and a really, really great kid to coach and extremely funny as well. I've got to tell a quick story, Emily. I know you're not going to like it, but again, it's got to do with the cake decorating. So Connor and I happened to be right next to Emily's group, which I think was constructed of Emily, Priya, and Nora. And they worked so hard at constructing this cake. And it got to, I think it was maybe, there was a strict time limit. I think it got to maybe like a minute left. And they had just constructed, they had just finished it. It was all presented perfectly. And Emily grabbed the cake to show us what the top of the cake said and tipped it, and the whole thing just... Her face was just an absolute picture. But to be fair, they took it well, scooped it back on that plate, kind of messed it around a little bit, and it came good. But sorry, Emily, I had to tell you, that was really priceless. Emily is an extremely reliable team player who works very hard to bring the team together and make sure everyone has a voice. A player who is constantly looking for ways to improve and asks me as soon as she steps off the field what she can do better when she next takes the field. Emily, like Jessie, had a slightly different role to play for our team this season. Emily was asked to play a little bit deeper as a right wing back. As a more natural wide player, Emily had the speed to get up the field from a slightly deeper starting position and still to contribute to the attack. Emily chipped in with 2 goals and 5 assists her senior year and scored the opening goal of the season with a superb finish at the back post against Oakhams. Congratulations, Emily, on a great career at Saline, and all the best at Indiana University in the fall. Laughing because I got it wrong. All right. Paige Martin. Paige really hit the ground running her senior year, scoring 5 goals in our first 4 games. By the end of the year, Paige led our team in scoring with 21 goals. I know. As competitive as Paige is, I know she would have wanted to add a few more to that tally. This was summed up on senior night. We have a little tradition that we take our seniors off before the game is done. The problem was Paige hadn't scored that game. So, as I took Paige off, she's given me this look with a face like thunder. And I'm like, Paige, what's the matter? She's like, I haven't scored. I'm like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. I can't keep you on for much longer. And what did she do the next day? Or not the next game we played, she went up there and scored 2 goals straight away. So a real striker who looks to constantly get in behind players. On her day, a real handful for any defender. Lightning quick, likes to play on the shoulder. I think playing with 2 strikers in a 3-5-2 really suited Paige because she had somebody to play off of. Very capable of playing as a left winger as well. Has a thunderous left foot that if you're left open, if you leave her open and she has room to take and touch and hit it, there's a lot of time it's going to go on target and it's going to go in. Which I think my favourite goal of the season has to be our goal against Skyline to beat them 1-0, which Paige scored the winner. A player that our program is really going to miss next year. It's not easy to replace 21 goals. Congratulations on a great career at Saline, Paige, and best of luck at Michigan State University. Abby Gray. Abby Gray is another one of our senior captains and a 4-year varsity player. Abby is an incredibly talented and technical soccer player. Has the ability to be able to use both feet, whether that's controlling, passing, shooting. Always looks to get on the ball, always looks to find her teammates. Even when she doesn't have the ball, looks to constantly get open and make runs forward to be open all the time for her teammates. I know Abby had very high expectations for herself entering her senior year, and she finished off this season with 17 goals and 14 assists. For most of the season, Abby primarily played as a striker or as a number 10. I thought her best performance was actually in the semi-final against Skyline. On that particular day where the ball wasn't necessarily moving as quickly as we liked, which could be down to the pressure that we were put under or the type of surface that we were playing on. And we made the decision to pull Abby a little bit further back to try and regain some possession and get us moving. And she did just that. With her ability and her confidence and her composure on the ball, we were able to keep the ball for a little bit longer periods of time. And it wasn't just her ability on the ball, it was the work rate that I know she has worked extremely hard on over the years to play the whole 100 minutes. And it didn't surprise me that after the game she's pretty much on her back, absolutely exhausted. What I love the most about Abby, that is, despite her talent, she always remains extremely humble. In her, I think it was her junior year, when we were handing out jerseys. Do you remember, Chloe?
I do.
You do remember. Abby wore number 15, which is Chloe's favourite number. Chloe was new onto Varsity, and usually how it works is that if you've already been on Varsity, you have the option to keep your number. Trust me, not many times do people give up their number if they don't want to give it up. But I think word had got around, or maybe Chloe straight up asked her, knowing her, that she would like number 15. And with a bat of an eyelid, Abby gave up her number and took another number. And I think the same thing happened this year, or maybe you just didn't want 18 anymore. There you go, doesn't particularly matter. But that sort of attitude and willing to do, give up your number for a teammate, especially somebody who's new on the team, I thought spoke volumes. Congratulations on a great season, Abby. We can't wait to see what you can do at the next level at Lawrence Tech. Connor right now is actually just handing out the SEC Scholar Athlete Awards, which all of our seniors were awarded. This award is handed to seniors who maintain a 3.25 GPA throughout the whole 2021 and 22 season. So can we give our seniors a massive We're going to move on to the league awards and the district awards. So first up, we're doing the all-conference SEC awards. So the way it works, at the end of the season, all of the coaches get together and they have the opportunity to vote on their top 15 players within the league. But you can't vote for your own players. So in the SEC, the players that were on our team that were awarded were chosen by the opposition's coaches. So selected for the SEC Red Team of the Year are Abby Gray, Lara Koch, Paige Martin, and Chloe Craft with the honourable mention. Can we give them a massive hand? Okay, so now we're going to announce the varsity players that were selected for the all-district team of the year. This is slightly different. This is where all the coaches come together after the district final and pretty much discuss who we think are the top 25 players in the district. So, and you can suggest your own players. So it can get a little feisty because everybody thinks they have their, the top players, and you really have to fight for your player to be put in there. So the players from the 2022 varsity team that made the district team of the year go to Abby Gray, Lara Koch, Paige Martin, Chloe Craft, Kaylee Cahill, and Audrey Driscoll. Abby, can you actually stay up here, please? So, the players that get nominated for the all-district team of the year then get moved on to be the top 5 or 6 players get moved on to have the potential to be selected for the all-regional team. And then once the regional final is concluded, those top players then can have the opportunity to be moved on to potentially the all-state team or the all-state honourable mention. And Abby got moved on from the person who represented our district and was awarded on the all-regional team and was selected for the All-State Honourable Mention team. Okay, so before we move on to the player awards, which are voted on by our players, by our players for our own players, we're giving out the Woody Merchant Award and the Rachel Townsend Awards. As Ian already described for the Woody Merchant Award, the criteria is a player who demonstrates sportsmanship, perseverance, cooperation, acceptance of criticism, and concern for others. And this player, who I thought led our team superbly well, always shows good sportsmanship, is always looking out for others, is always making sure that if there's anything that needs to be done at the end of practice, that it gets done without minimal fuss, and the Woody Merchant Award goes to Lara Cook. Okay, the next award is the Rachel Townsend Award. The award for this criteria is someone who always shows constant grit, determination, is always working extremely hard, gives their 100% best effort all the time in everything they do, stands up for their teammates, and is just a real asset to their team, and is always above all working extremely hard. And this year, I'm giving it to a player who, a lot of the time, I know was playing through an injury, who actually came to Coach Connor and I after one game in tears because they were hurting so much and they were worried that they weren't giving as much as that they wanted to or that they were physically able to. And it took us a little bit of time to describe to this player that we understand that you're struggling. We tried to give her some time off, and she maybe took 20 minutes off of the next practice before deciding that she was good enough to go. And the Rachel Townsend Award goes to Ashley Cruz. Which the coaches come together and select a player. So the One to Watch Award, this one, to be honest, was a little bit of a landslide. This player received the majority of the votes, and I fully agree with the majority of the vote here. A player who, despite being so young, started by the end of the season, started most of the games, and always delivered and always worked extremely hard. And the one to watch for 2022 is Sienna Snyder. Okay, next award is Defensive MVP. This one was definitely not a landslide. This one was extremely tight, and from memory, I believe it was only decided by one vote, maybe two votes, but it was extremely tight, and it was pretty much decided by 3 players. All pretty much started the majority of our games on our back line. But the player who just edged it and got a couple more votes, defensive MVP, goes to Chloe Craft. The next award is Offensive Most Valuable Player, so Offensive MVP. This player, as I already mentioned earlier, led the team in scoring, scored 21 goals. A real thorn in any defensive side, really put teams under pressure. The offensive MVP goes to Paige Martin. What's that? Okay, the next award goes to Unsung Hero. Like Ian already described with the JV team, it tends to go to a player who doesn't necessarily get all the plaudits, isn't necessarily doing interviews on the Celine Post or getting their names posted all over the place. But you know, without this player in the team, we quite simply don't work as well as we normally do. Gets through a tremendous amount of work, wins so many tackles, and allows our more creative players to do what they do. And the unsung hero goes to Kaylee Cahill. Okay, the next award is Players Player of the Year. Again, this is kind of a mixture of all of the awards, where the players pretty much vote for who they think was the most valuable player throughout the whole season. This one, similar to the one to watch, was not particularly close. The Players Player of the Year for 2021 and 2022 is Abby Gray. Okay, the last award goes to the Coaches Player of the Year. So all of our coaches, got together and had a discussion and discussed who we thought deserved this award, and there was quite a few contenders. But ultimately, we went with a player who we thought has just been absolutely outstanding this year. Started every single game, very rarely got beat. Just always there for the team, contributed in every single practice, worked hard, never complained, and considering the stuff that has been going on in our life was just absolutely mind-blowing. So the Coach's Player of the Year goes to Chloe Craft. Okay, at this time, before we watch the video, I'm now going to turn the microphone over to the captains, so they can say a couple of words, say a couple of thank yous, and then we will move on to the video. So, captains, up you come.
Hi everybody.
Hey Jessie.
If you don't already know me, I've gone by a couple different names this season, like Gumpy, Rhino, and Jumbo Jess. I've been playing competitive soccer for about 12 years, so longer than Sienna has been alive for. But out of all the seasons I've been playing, the high school seasons have easily been the best. I've learned more in these couple of months than I have in the rest of my years playing soccer, and I couldn't be more grateful than to have learned it with the girls to the right of me, because usually I played on the left side. Although our season was filled with a lot of soccer, I know that I'm not going to remember any of the practicings. No offense, Lee and Connor. What I am going to remember is the team bonding we did over the months, even if we were bonding by accident. Like getting the whole team involved in our water wars at Oscars. I wouldn't have sent anybody else out of the restaurant to check my car and risk getting shot from you all. Or giving people rides even when you could hear my brakes in my car from a mile away. Or singing songs of Mr. Lara on the bus. Or Carson, Allie, and Paige copying mine and Kaylee's cake and beating us in the cake competition because of it. We won! Alvin's Island took up a good 5 hours of our time in Florida, and I wouldn't trade that time for anything else. Or being asked to pick up dominoes for Mickey and eating his garlic knots. Or lastly, participating in the best theme that Celine Schools has ever seen in the history of themes, Adam Sandler Day. Our season definitely ended sooner than we all wanted, but to be fair, I don't know if Connor's Birkenstocks could have lasted one more day out there. To my seniors, we've grown up side by side and I've seen you all turn into the amazing players and people that you are today. To my juniors, you guys are just goofballs. I always could rely on you to make me laugh or put new slang into my vocabulary, which I probably wouldn't have been able to do without you. To my sophomores and Sienna, I wish I had more time with you guys, but I know you'll do great things for Celine soccer. I think of you like my little sisters, even though you might be more mature than me. Lastly, to my coaches. Thanks, guys. I'm just kidding. Thank you for teaching me everything I know about the sport. I'm so thankful to be able to say that I've had coaches who have made me love soccer more than I ever could without you. Wrapping it up, I'm going to miss this team more than I should, but I'm glad I at least have our Instagram Live I could look back on and cry to whenever I'm feeling it. I know this team will only improve, and you better believe I'll be in the stands next year watching you show Kieran that they're really just rats under our shoes, and show Skyland that they just suck overall. Signing off, I'm Jessie Rain, and they weren't ready.
Mine isn't quite as long, probably about like 2 minutes shorter, but those that know me, I hate public speaking, so it's probably good that I keep it short. Okay. I was just gonna say a couple of thank yous. First off to my parents, of course, driving me around to every game, practice that I needed. My dad for coaching me in rec, which led into him coaching on the sideline every single game that he had. I'm sure you can hear him. My mom, even though you yelled at a ref only once, you were there at every game that you could be at, cheering me on still. And you guys supported me through all my soccer decisions. Thank you to the coaches, of course, supporting me and teaching me soccer skills as well as some life skills. Thank you, Lee, Ian, for the past 4 years, Connor for this year. You guys always made the season so fun as well as being competitive. And lastly, I'd like to thank my teammates, whether I've only been playing with you for 1 season, or Zoe playing with you since we were 5 years old in rec. Each and every one of you have a place in my heart, and all the memories I've created with all you guys will always be some of my favorite memories that I'll remember forever. And as excited as I am to continue playing soccer in college, no team is going to be able to compare to my high school teams and all of you guys.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who's helped our team this season. Thank you to Coach Lee, Connor, Austin, and Ian for all of your continued support and effort. Thank you to our club coaches for preparing us for our high school season. Thank you for our parents and family members for supporting us in all aspects of our soccer careers. Thank you to our trainers who always make sure we're in our best shape. And thank you to everyone else who pushed us and made sure we performed our absolute best. This season is definitely one to remember. I believe it was the first time any of us were able to take that trip down to Florida as a team. Although not everyone was able to go, I definitely think that we bonded through the shared struggle of running that 2.5 miles, not 1.5 as Lee claims, and the friendly competition over the cakes that my team definitely won. After the season really began, our team bonding became Dairy Queen runs and after-game Oscar dinners. Focusing more on the actual soccer aspect of it, all of us were able to win our first district game this year. And although we lost in penalties against a rival of ours, I am still so proud of all of us for the amount of effort and grit, not just during that one game, but throughout the whole season. Overall, I just want to thank everyone here for all the great memories I've had over the years. I know that the other seniors and I are definitely going to miss all the bus rides, the game nights, the yellow versus pink games, making comments about Connor's wonderful man bun, and trying to understand these random and made-up British phrases. British Bulldogs is definitely made up, I'm sorry. And so much more. Thank you.
It still feels like it was just March, and the team was enjoying spring break together in Florida. I will forever cherish all of the great memories made in Destin that brought the team closer together this season. Especially the cake baking competition that Lee already spoiled for you, but as you know, I dropped our cake. It's still a very sensitive topic to talk about. The locker room before practices and games was always filled with laughter and fun, something I will miss the most about soccer. I would like to thank our amazing coaches and their dedication towards making us better players. Everything from watching hours of game film to having long team talks, thank you for all that you do. I would also like to thank the parents for all of the time and work put towards this season, from watching us play through the crazy spring weather, along with after-game meals, and your overall support. Thank you. Lastly, thank you to each and every one of my teammates. The team environment we had this season was like no other. Not only the memories we created this year together as a team, but the experiences and people over the past 4 years as a sling soccer player have made me grow both as a player and a person. Thank you, and for the community, your 2022 captain's out.
Thank you everybody again. This concludes the 2022 banquet. As we've already said, thank you seniors, thank you all the players, thank you all the volunteers, thank you everybody who makes this, you know, Saline soccer program what it is. It's been another fun and great year, and we'll be ready to roll again and do it next spring. If you could do us a solid favour and just stick around for just a quick 5 minutes to help clear up and make sure everything gets put away, that would be really, really appreciated. Thank you everybody.